On his way back from work, the main character drove his car and hit a large dog. Just then, he suddenly heard a voice in his head saying the monster was defeated and that he had gained experience points. He thought, what? Before anyone realized, the whole world had changed. Monsters began to appear. The world turned into something like a game, with levels, skills, and status. This is a story where the modern world becomes fantasy, and the main character must struggle to survive. Our hero sees a strange monster jumping down from a tall building to chase him. So he runs as fast as he can. He keeps running until he's completely out of strength, and the monster finally catches up. At that moment, he's certain he will die. To explain how it all began, we need to go back 3 days. The main character, Kazuto, had been working at a harsh company for 3 years. It was unusual for him to leave work early, even though he said he was supposed to clock out 2 hours ago. Still, this counted as early for him, since he normally worked past midnight every day. He was lucky to have a day off tomorrow, so he planned to get home quickly and read some of the web novels he had saved. On the way, just thinking about his free time made all the stress fade away. He yawned, and in that brief distraction, hit something. Kazuto stepped out of the car to see what it was. The shape looked like a dog, but it was strangely large, and it was still alive. He apologized to the animal, but he knew that saying sorry couldn't change what had happened. He stayed with it until it took its final breath. Feeling down, he suddenly heard a voice saying he had gained experience points, reached level 1, and learned the quick growth skill. Shocked, Kazuto looked around for where the voice came from. Since it sounded exactly like a game message, even stranger, the dog's body was gone, making him wonder if he had just imagined it. He spotted something on the ground and picked up what was marked as a drop item. Laughing at how unreal it all felt, he thought it must be from exhaustion and decided to go home and sleep. But this was not a dream or his imagination. Kazuto was about to learn that this was truly reality. The next day, Kazuto woke up still tired even though it was already noon. He noticed it was loud outside but got distracted when the light wouldn't turn on. Thinking the breaker had tripped, he reset it, but nothing changed. He started to wonder if the blackout was connected to the sirens ringing through the neighborhood. Not too worried, Kazuto sat down for brunch. He thought about turning on the TV, but quickly remembered the power was out. He had also forgotten to charge both his phone and his computer, so he decided to read some of the light novels he had saved. But it was too dark to read, so he pulled open the curtains. What he saw made his blood run cold. In the chaos outside, Kazuto spotted an orc. He couldn't believe it. There was no zipper on its back, and it was far too real to be a costume. Looking closer, he noticed blood dripping from the cleaver in one hand and a severed head in the other. Terrified, Kazuto ran to the sink and threw up. He tried to check the news, but the power was still out and his phone was completely dead. He pinched his cheek to check if he was dreaming, but when he looked out the window again, the horrifying scene was still there. The situation was beyond anything he could understand. Monsters had taken over the streets, and the world had completely changed. Suddenly, Kazuto remembered the big dog and the mechanical voice from yesterday. The words came to him naturally, and he spoke them aloud. A status window appeared in front of his eyes, just like in a game. Kazuto looked over the screen but didn't understand abbreviations like SB or JB, nor why he had the quick growth skill. He guessed it had something to do with the big dog from the day before. Scrolling further, he saw that he had to pick a job from several options. To his surprise, the list included jobs like NEET and shut-in. The job trainee monk was probably there because he had lived like a corporate slave, and spy appeared likely because his boss had once forced him to report on his co-workers. Kazuto thought carefully about the choices, knowing how important it was to gather information and stay alert in a situation like this. He picked spy. It cost 1 JP, which made him realize that SP must mean skill points. Choosing the spy job gave him spy-related skills, and he used his remaining points to level them up. With SP, he gained danger sense and hostility sense, both vital in a world full of monsters. Happy with the outcome, Kazuto tried out his new physical skills. Thanks to the 2 new resistance skills, the monsters no longer frightened him as much. He could now stay calm in dangerous situations. Kazuto then summoned the item box, which worked exactly like it did in a game. Testing its limits, he found that even at level 1, it could hold a huge amount. It could store everything in the house. It was very convenient and even showed a list of all the items so he wouldn't forget what he had put inside. But the box didn't have heat protection or time stop features. Maybe those could be added later through skill upgrades. Pleased with his skills, Kazuto now had to choose whether to stay indoors or go outside. In the end, he decided to step out. He needed food, and now he had the strength to protect himself. This was no longer the life he once knew. Gathering his courage, Kazuto walked outside. His danger sense and hostility sense were working, and his covert action skill made him feel safer. With no monsters nearby, he went to check on his neighbors, but no one was there. It made sense. More than half a day had passed since the world had changed. Maybe they had tried to reach him while he was still asleep. Strangely, he had slept through everything until noon. As Kazuto went downstairs, he noticed his footsteps made no sound thanks to his light-up skill. On the second floor, he spotted an open door and decided to check it, calling out to see if anyone was inside. But an uneasy feeling came over him. A wave of hostility struck as a monster suddenly attacked. Kazuto quickly dodged and saw that it was a goblin. Without his fear resistance, he might have wet himself on the spot. Seeing the goblin up close excited him. It looked just like something from a fantasy world. Its mocking expression irritated Kazuto. With no other choice, he turned and ran. The goblin froze for a moment, then grew enraged by the insult and chased after him. Kazuto opened his item box and pulled out a washing machine, dropping it onto the goblin and crushing it. It was a clever strategy, to say the least. Still, he had to finish the goblin off himself to gain experience points and item drops. Doing so raised him to level 2 from the hunt, but Kazuto didn't feel happy. To him, the goblin was still a living creature. Its body disappeared, but the blood stayed behind. After storing the washing machine, he checked his status screen again and used his SP and JB points to level up more. He focused on skills that matched the fight. Kazuto then moved down to the first floor. With his covert skill leveled up, his presence grew even smaller. When he saw 4 goblins in the hallway, he quickly hid. But one walked toward him. He could have escaped, but chose to see it as a chance to adapt to the new world and raise his level. He took down the first goblin with ease. As his stress resistance grew, he felt less guilt and fear. When the other 3 goblins chased him, Kazuto stayed calm. He summoned a wheeled refrigerator from his item box, and using his enhanced strength, shoved it at them with full force. It crushed the goblins, but once again, he had to finish them off by hand. This time, his level rose from 2 to 4 thanks to the quick growth skill. Suddenly, Kazuto felt a strange presence, even though neither danger sense nor hostility sense detected anything. What he didn't realize was that a large dog was quietly watching him from the shadows. Since his senses didn't react, he guessed that whatever was hiding there wasn't a monster. Then, a sudden thought came to him, and he called out, "Momo." To his shock, the dog answered. Kazuto rushed over and picked her up right away. Momo was a stray dog who had claimed this neighborhood as her territory. She was a female Shiba Inu, and Kazuto used to secretly feed her because his apartment had a strict no pets rule. His bond with Momo had always been a rare comfort in his dull and tiring life. Now, finding her alive filled him with joy. Thinking she might be hungry, he quickly pulled some dog food and a dish from his item box to feed her. Feeling much better, Kazuto asked if Momo wanted more food. But then, out of nowhere, he heard an announcement. "Momo wants to join your party." Shocked, Kazuto wondered if this world really had a party system like in a game. When he heard the voice again, he knew it wasn't his imagination. Happily, he accepted Momo into his party and checked her status, only to see that she was already level 2. Stunned, Kazuto asked if she had actually defeated a monster. Momo barked excitedly, but Kazuto still found it hard to believe that such a small, cute pup could really take one down. To test something, he took out a small goblin soulstone from his item box and showed it to Momo. She seemed curious and even tried to grab it, but Kazuto hesitated and moved it around to tease her. Seeing her sad reaction, he apologized and handed it to her. Momo sniffed the stone and immediately began chewing on it. Panicking, Kazuto tried to take it back, but Momo swallowed it in one gulp and then looked up as if asking for more. Unsure if the stones were even edible, Kazuto tried one himself. But as expected, it was nothing but a rock. Since Momo clearly enjoyed them, he gave her 3 more goblin soul stones. Then he remembered the purple shadow wolf soul stone. When he summoned it, Momo wagged her tail with excitement. The moment she ate it, she let out a ping, ran around playfully in circles, and then returned to normal. Since there didn't seem to be any side effects, Kazuto petted her while checking his own status screen. He he found that each time he leveled up, he gained 20 SP and 10 JP. He used his JP to raise his spy class and spent SP to learn new skills. Bladem caught his attention since even a kitchen knife counted as a blade, and Conceal was a skill he had wanted from the start. He also upgraded his item box, letting him pull out multiple items at once and store more supplies. Now he could summon items from up to 5 meters away. There was still room for improvement, but leveling it more would fix that. Kazuto then saw his car wrecked by monsters. He cursed their existence, especially since he hadn't even finished paying off the loan. When he stored it in the item box, the system labeled it as junk, which made him want to cry. He told Momo he was heading to the convenience store and asked if she wanted to come along. Her excited response warmed his heart. Kazuto knew it might be safer to go alone, but something told him it was better to bring her along. Just a few minutes later, he would learn this was the best choice he could have made. As Kazuto walked through the city, he saw corpses scattered everywhere. It was a disgusting sight. Suddenly, his enemy sense triggered, making him stop Momo. A zombie was nearby, but Kazuto couldn't just drop a washing machine on it. That would make too much noise and attract more monsters. Instead, he pulled a dumbbell from his item box and crept up behind the zombie, trusting his stealth and sneak skills to keep him hidden. Kazuto moved in for the kill, but before he could strike, the zombie suddenly turned around. Everything happened so quickly that Kazuto froze, sure he was about to be bitten. At that moment, something gripped the zombie's throat. Using his observe skill, Kazuto saw that it was his own shadow wrapping around the enemy, but he was sure he didn't have any ability like that. The only other being nearby was Momo. She rushed forward and tightened the shadow's hold on the zombie. Taking the chance, Kazuto finished it off, earning experience points and a zombie soul stone. He gave the stone to Momo and asked if she had just saved him. Then he realized the shadow control came from the Shadow Wolf soul stone she had eaten. Kazuto petted the good girl and wondered if Momo was the only one able to absorb soul stones to gain powers. Curious, he asked her to use the skill again and studied it closely. The shadow could only move along solid surfaces and grew stronger the closer it stayed to her. The ability matched Kazuto's stealthy fighting style perfectly. He could sneak in quietly with stealth, while Momo pinned down monsters with shadow control, letting Kazuto finish them off using home appliances. To him, they were the perfect team. With Momo's shadow skill, they could take out goblins without any danger. But this time, Kazuto's level didn't rise. When they reached the convenience store, he was surprised to see far more supplies than he expected. Momo chose her food, and Kazuto stored it along with other goods in the item box. The stockpile was enough to feed one person for half a year. Kazuto decided they needed to find a safe place before sunset. While scouting, he spotted an SOS flag waving from a building. That might mean survivors, though he hadn't seen another human since the world had changed. Something about the shopping mall felt wrong, but even so, he asked Momo if she would come with him. Her happy response decides it. They head toward the mall. On the way, they defeat monsters, and Kazuto reaches level 5. He quickly spends the points to upgrade his skills. He also comes across a vending machine and stores it in the item box, thinking it could serve as a good weapon. Nearing the mall entrance, Kazuto notices people already battling monsters. Using Conceal, he hides both himself and Momo, holding her close so the effect covers her too. From the shadows, he watches a group of men fighting orcs. Based on the SOS sign, it looks like they're defending the place while waiting for rescue, but the orcs are huge, nearly 2 meters tall, putting the humans at a big disadvantage. What really makes Kazuto uneasy is the orc in the back. Its skin is a different color, its aura is terrifying, and Kazuto's danger sense is going wild. That one is clearly a high-ranking orc. Kazuto pauses to consider the situation.